It's been 2 weeks since the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde, Texas, in which 19 children and 2 teachers were killed.
Since then, there have been a number of mass shootings, and many Americans agree something needs to be done. In the latest CBS News poll, 81% of Americans support background checks for all gun buyers. 72% agree to federal red flag laws, and 62% say there should be a nationwide ban on assault weapons.
The last time a gun reform bill passed into law was in 1994 under the Clinton administration. That law lapsed in 2004 under the Bush administration. Democratic Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy met with President Biden this afternoon to discuss gun control reform.
Our discussions, because ultimately we need the president to support it and sign the legislation. So we had a good conversation. Obviously, we've still got work to do in the Senate. I'm grateful that the White House is giving us the space necessary to get it.
Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn says he is, quote, optimistic there will be 60-plus votes on passing a bipartisan bill on gun control, which would be enough to pass the filibuster, but it would still need to pass the House before heading to the president's desk for signature. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now from Capitol Hill. Hi, Scott. Good to see you. So do you have any more details on what could possibly be in this bill?
Hey, Tanya and Elaine, the lead negotiator in this case is pretty clear. It's Connecticut Democrat Chris Murphy, who, among other things, represented the congressional district in which there was Sandy Hook in 2012. Mr. Murphy just returned here to the Senate from a meeting with President Biden at the White House. We've been trying to poke and prod as to what's on the table, what's in this bill. He's keeping it broad, saying the Senate is still talking about what could be part of a proposal, part of the legislation. But here's the sense we get talking to a number of the people involved. They are focused on background check loopholes and red flag laws, the laws through which courts can order guns seized from people deemed to be a danger. There is no trajectory, according to key senators, to the necessary 60 votes for the bigger, bolder proposals that'll pass the U.S. House later this week. Those are proposals to raise the minimum age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle, or a ban on high-capacity magazines, or bans on bump stocks. In fact, the lead Republican negotiator, Texas's John Cornyn, who you mentioned earlier, has drawn some red lines, saying those things don't have a bipartisan path forward, so they're limiting things to keeping people who shouldn't have guns from having guns, returning us back to background checks and red flag laws. That's the state of play now, but it's becoming unequivocal and emphatic from these senators that they need to move quickly, that swift action is needed for successful action to happen.
Scott, that was going to be my question. Realistically, what is the time frame here that legislators and the White House are hoping to see some kind of action? Because as you point out, the clock is ticking. This is also a midterm election year. The dynamics politically are going to be very different in just a few months. What kind of time frame are they realistically hoping for?
Senator Murphy was bullish when we spoke, telling me that he hopes to have some type of proposal to discuss by the end of this week. Senator Cornyn, the lead Republican, says this week seems ambitious, perhaps next week or later on in the month. But you hit the nail on the head, Elaine. Time and legislation don't go well together. The longer a proposal sits out there, or a set of proposals sit out there, the more at risk they become of stalling, of atrophying, or simply getting derailed. And that's why all members of these negotiations are being mindful of time. How much time can we spend before we actually try to move? But again, the whole game right now, the whole negotiation, the whole operation is in the Senate. The House is going to pass bills this week that don't have a path forward. This bipartisan group in the Senate is where the whole fruitful negotiation would have to come from.
All right, Scott MacFarlane on Capitol Hill. Scott, thank you.